What if your healing hasn't stuck? Not because you're inconsistent, but because it doesn't match your elemental nature. What if it hasn't aligned in the way your inner authority is designed to grow? Have you ever started doing the healing work and then found yourself quietly quitting? Not because you didn't care, obviously, or not because you weren't committed, but because something about it just didn't feel natural to you? I've been thinking about this a lot because the healing work, especially from the Sun and Saturn's perspective, healing that personal sense of power and inner authority, the father wound or the internalized father voice, is deep work. Work that can turn wounds into wisdom and changing your life in ways that last. Inner authority, Saturn healing work, asks us a lot. It asks us effort, it asks us for honesty, it asks consistency, and it takes time and dedication. And these are all Saturn requirements for creating change and sustainable change. Saturn also asks us to mature and take responsibility for our lives in a new way. But I don't actually think healing is meant to feel harsh. I think it can become sustainable when it matches your elemental nature. And here's the cool part. There are so many ways we can understand elemental healing style through the birth chart. We can look at the overall balance of elements, count how many planets you have in fire, earth, air, and water, and see what's dominant. We can also start with the sun sign, which is often the simplest and strongest place to begin because the sun represents our vitality and how we shine, who you are at your highest expression, and when you're operating from your strongest inner authority. And then, if you want to go deeper, we can look to Saturn for where we contracted, or Chiron for where we carry a core soul level wound that wants to become wisdom. Today I'm going to walk through healing through the lens of the four elements. I'll offer some potential modalities that might be suitable and even a mantra you can play with to stay on track. And I actually encourage you to listen to all of them. Notice what resonates in your mind and in your body. But at the very least, listen for your sun sign and your Saturn sign elements. Because your sun shows how you shine and Saturn shows what you're here to learn to build and master your inner authority. And I would truly love to hear from you. So if you know your dominant element, share it. If you know your sun sign, Saturn sign, and Chiron sign, tell me the element. And tell me what healing modalities you've tried. What's worked, what hasn't, what felt forced and felt unnatural or felt very natural. I'm exploring this theory more deeply, and your lived experience actually helps refine it for me. If you comment, I'll offer some insight where I can, because this is both teaching and exploration. So let's begin with fire. If you are a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or have heavy fire dominant, healing cannot feel stagnant. It can't feel overly contained or overly quiet for too long. You're not meant to sit still indefinitely processing. You heal through movement, through expression, through creative ignition. When fire types try to heal in ways that suppress their vitality for too long, they'll become disengaged. Not because you're avoiding growth, but because your life force needs somewhere to go. Your Saturn wound may show up as being told you were too much, too dramatic. So you learn to contain your fire. Or you overperform trying to prove your worth. This is where the distorted father archetype can sound like, tone it down, be realistic, don't embarrass yourself, or us, the family. Your healing requires reclaiming your fire consciously. For you, healing might look like somatic movement, dance, martial arts, creative performance, even sunlight, or goal-oriented challenges that bring visible progress. You rebuild inner authority by directing your fire, not suppressing it. So your healing mantra might be, my fire is not too much, I direct it with purpose. Okay, if you're a fire sign or if you have a lot of fire in your chart, tell me what has actually worked for you. Do you need movement to process emotion? I want to know. If you're an earth sign or earth dominant, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Healing needs to feel safe and tangible. You don't want something abstract or ungrounded. You don't trust what you can't anchor. You heal through structure, consistency, and physical regulation. Your Saturn wound may look like tying your worth to productivity, feeling responsible for everything, or feeling you're only valuable when you're useful, feeling unsafe when things are unstable, carrying way more than your share, or becoming too stable, too responsible too early. The distorted father voice here can sound like work harder, be responsible, rest later. For earth types, healing often works best when it's embodied and scheduled. So some healing modalities that might work for you are massage, yin yoga, nature immersion, even financial restructuring, or hands-on creative work. You rebuild inner authority by redefining structure as support, not pressure. So your healing mantra might be, I am enough without proving myself. If you're Earth, I'm especially curious. Do you resist rest? Does structure feel supportive or restrictive to you? If you're an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, you heal through understanding, through language, through perspective, through conversation. If something doesn't make sense, it's hard for you to surrender to it. Air types often abandon healing if it feels emotionally chaotic without clarity. Your Saturn wound may show up as fear of being misunderstood or lacking intelligence, people-pleasing to maintain harmony, or living in your head to avoid emotional overwhelm. The distorted father voice here can sound like, don't say that. That's not logical. Stop overthinking it. Healing for you may look like journaling, talk therapy, breath work, sound healing, conscious communication work, or just thought reframing. Even intentional digital detoxes to reset your mind. But the key is this: you can't stay only in cognition. You need to understand what's happening, but you also need practices that bring you back into your body. As inner authority for air types comes online when the mind and body are connected. Your mantra might be, my voice matters, my thoughts are allowed. Air signs, tell me, do you process best by talking it out? Or do you overthink and need help grounding? If you're water, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, healing is emotional. Water types heal through emotional depth, through safe release, through spiritual reconnection. It's intuitive, it's layered, it's not linear. Your Saturn moon may show up as emotional shame, over caretaking, blurred boundaries, absorbing what isn't yours. Water types cannot bypass feeling, but you do need containment. The distorted father archetype for you here can sound like, don't be sensitive, stop crying, you're too emotional. So you learn to contain oceans inside yourself. Your healing must honor emotional intelligence, not override it. Healing for you may look like EFT tapping, water rituals, sacred baths, inner child work, ancestral healing, or creative intuitive practices. But here's the important part. Water types need containment just as much as depth. You build inner authority by creating emotional boundaries that protect your sensitivity instead of shaming it. Your mantra might be, my emotions are wise and I can hold them safely. If you're water dominant, I'd love to know, do you find it easy to access emotions but hard to navigate or build boundaries and structure around them? Do tell. These are just some of the ways we can explore and understand our elemental healing style through the birth chart. Healing isn't a one-size-fits-all, and I believe it can take a variety of approaches that can work at different stages as we each travel our unique path of healing and personal growth. But I've found personally and in working with others that looking at the elemental nature through the birth chart can serve as a map for the healing journey. And the elements of our Sun and Saturn can be easy and great places to start. Because remember, your Sun is how you shine, And Saturn is where we internalize authority. When we don't examine Saturn, that inner father voice becomes critical and our light becomes dim. When we mature Saturn consciously, the inner father becomes wise and we become brighter. This is the work of building inner authority, and choosing discipline that supports who you truly are can perhaps offer the most suitable and sustainable lasting results. So tell me your sun sign, tell me your dominant element, or tell me your Saturn or Chiron sign if you know it. What healing modalities have you tried? What worked? What felt unnatural? I genuinely want to hear your experiences, because healing isn't theoretical, it's lived. And the more we understand how our elemental nature metabolizes growth, the more sustainable the work becomes. Thank you for listening and participating, and I'm wishing you all the best on your healing journey. Take care, friends.